Welcome back, everyone, as we continue our playthrough here on Ultimate General Civil War. If you haven't seen the campaign up to this point, there's a link in the description that will take you back to Episode 1. We are now on to the Battle of Seven Pines, which historically is a pretty significant battle. At this point, it's the second bloodiest battle of the war, after only Shiloh. But most importantly, this battle results in the wounding of Joe Johnston, who's the commander of the Confederate Army, and he is replaced by an advisor to Jefferson Davis in Richmond named Robert E. Lee. So this is the battle that results in Robert E. Lee taking command of the Confederate Army. This is also kind of the high water mark. It's about as far as George McClellan's going to get with the Union Army of the Potomac. They get within 5 or 6 miles of Richmond at Seven Pines, and then it's all backward from there. So, the situation is critical. Our center is under heavy pressure and soon will collapse. The rebels will attack our divided forces and destroy them in detail. Yeah, we're going to be taking on command of other forces here. Advance a division, reinforce the center of our line, stabilize our battlefront. The rest of your force will take positions north of the Chickahominy River at Gaines's Mill, where the next rebel attack is expected. Godspeed, General. So we only take in 8 brigades, so we've got to be really thoughtful about which brigades we're going to use here. It looks like it's going to, by default, give us our biggest ones, which is probably what we want. I think I want to make sure that we have our 24-pounders for sure. So let's bring them in, even though there's fewer of them. And then we've got a couple of melee units here, but otherwise some bigger ones. I'm tempted to replace my cav with one of the other brigades, but I don't think, well, you know what? I think I will. I may regret this. I may wish I had the cav instead of an extra brigade of infantry. But let's go and see what happens. Okay, so I'm basically going to leave the flank units where they are. The whole point for me is to hold the center. So if these units on the flanks are able to do their job, and casualties to me really don't matter a whole lot. With those units, though, it would be nice to keep them around a little bit. In fact, I think what I might do here is send those two over to support what's happening there, while I send my forces right up the center. George McClellan is in command of the Union Army at this point in history, and he very famously has no desire to see his beloved army suffer horrible losses. And after this battle, which results in, 5,000 or 6,000 casualties for the Union Army, he basically loses all taste for battle, and from that point on, it's kind of just a slow fallback until the Union is just completely off the peninsula. And then after that, he's only going to lead the Union Army one more time, and that's at Antietam. Well, the Antietam campaign. There's a few battles involved in Antietam. Oh boy, Barry's going to get lit up here. I'm going to charge Kimball in to help them out as best I can. All right, we got to get these other guns in position to start helping out. I'm not too worried about what happens up here. We've got 1 hour and 47 minutes. Let's take a look at the... we need to hold the center in order to win victory, and we have to win victory, so that means this objective right here has to be held, and that should not be an issue. All right, Kimball, I'd really like it if you would disengage. Anderson surrendered, but that's not going to matter because, of course, he's going to get unsurrendered here shortly. Now I kind of want Kimball to not disengage while we pull Anderson back. Light them up, boys. Light them up. Anderson, I need you to go straight back, please. Alright, so far so good. This is again not one of my units. That's one of the computer's units. So they can take the brunt of this while I support them and inflict casualties on the enemy. Alright, looks like we're going to manage to get Anderson out of there. He's got to hold the center against these initial attacks. And then we can advance and take the objective. Now here comes another one. Alright, charge in there, Woods. Dorsey Pender getting lit up. So Lee comes in after this battle and he starts reorganizing the army. He wants to make it more efficient. He sees a lot of issues with some of the people that are in command. He sees some issues with how the army is organized. And the Confederates are basically going to be on the offensive after Seven Pines. Stonewall Jackson's not here at this point. He's fighting in the valley, but he'll show up for what are called the 7 days battles, and doesn't perform particularly well in those battles. Woods, I really don't want you advancing. Let's chill out a little bit. All right, here comes another melee attack. I'm actually gonna pull Woods back and bring Pegram over because he's the one that's got the smoothbore, so he's better for melee. We'll let Andrews take the brunt of this because that's what he's designed for. The ones that say S, I put that name in there so I'd know that those are the smoothbores easily on the battlefield. Alright, Pegram, get in there and hit him. I guess he's not going to quite get there. Okay, looking good. Abercrombie, let's bring you around. Let's bring Kimball up. Fire into their flank. All right, Robinson. Let's bring you back up. I need to bring Andrews up enough to where he can get those smoothbores in range to fire. There's John Bell Hood, Texas Brigade. Really good brigade and division commander. Then he suffers 2 horrible wounds in the summer of 1863 in the 2 bloodiest battles of the war at Gettysburg and Chickamauga. Gettysburg, he has his arm so badly wounded that he will never be able to use it again. And then at Chickamauga, he takes a cannon to the femur, that big leg muscle, and he has to have it amputated right at the hip. And he was never the same after that, as you can imagine. Okay, we got an hour and a half still, so plenty of time to march in and take this objective. All right, Andrews, I want you to hold tight right there. I need Pegram to move forward so he can fire back. Just want to pause for a second and look at my men and see how they're doing in terms of casualties. Kills 231, deaths 27. Love that. Pegram kills 239, deaths 68. Wagner 198 to 4. Andrews 499 to 119. Loomis 104 to 1. Kimball 293 to 183. So every one of my personal brigades in this fight is inflicting far more casualties than they're taking, which is beautiful. We're going to need a whole lot more of that. And then my 2 batteries, one's 93 kills, the other's got 32 so far. Hood surrendered. Ooh, we just took the Texas Brigade. Oh, they're behind Pettigrew, though. There's no way that they're not going to... I mean, they're going to... Yep, there they go. They unsurrendered right away. Oh, that's frustrating. That's all right. All right, let's bring Robinson up into these woods. Carr is back in the fight. Oh, Pettigrew just surrendered and then unsurrendered. Oh, that's frustrating. I should have had... I would have bagged 2,000 men right there. Well, the good news is they're in bad enough shape that they both had surrendered once. So they're obviously at the place where I can advance. Just holding the line up top. Hold tight, Loomis. Don't advance any further at the moment. So we got Phil Kearney now in command of this brigade that I merged. Kearney was so unbelievably frustrated with George McClellan's unwillingness to take Richmond. McClellan had the manpower. He could have easily taken Richmond at this point in the war, but he continually believed the Confederates had over 100,000 men. They had nowhere close to that. He believed he was outnumbered constantly. Part of it was bad intelligence from Pinkerton and others, but also it was a tendency to believe bad intelligence. Because McClellan had people like Kearney, others in his army, his subordinates, who were telling him, there's no way they have that many men, your intelligence is bad. But he insisted on believing it. And he believed it all the way through the end of the war, at least his war, that he was constantly outnumbered. He thought he was outnumbered in the Antietam campaign, and he had Lee 2-1 at Antietam. Okay, how are we doing here? My Napoleons are not doing as well as I'd like them to. I think I need to move them up. I'm going to move up the 24-pounders as well. Alright, for once we have kind of a normal battle where, I mean, there have been a few charges here and there, like there's one coming right now, but probably because I outnumber him for a change. He's not just constantly charging into me with everything he's got. I say that as 2 charges happen. Alright, we still have an hour. Lots of time. The objective's right in front of us. Oh, Andrews, be careful. You're going to get flanked doing that. Here comes another charge. It's because I started moving closer to him. Alright, let's get these guns firing. It's my turn. I think I'll do a little melee here. Here he comes with 2 brigades. At the center. Oh, and he's doing a number on me. Andrews just got routed. Carney's getting routed. He might surrender. Hatton just surrendered. Is that one of mine? No, that was one of his, and then he unsurrendered. Hate that. Hate it so much. There's not much happening up north here. I guess we need to start advancing down. There's D.H. Hill. Get Garland out of there. Alright, Wagner, we need you to advance. Wade Hampton just surrendered. Excellent. No, this way, Hampton. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at Pegram. All right, Pegram, I think you got him. Would like to see Rhodes surrender there, but my goodness. All right, we got to get these two units behind my lines so he can't unsurrender them. Loomis, let's hang tight where you're at, buddy. Let's get Wagner up there. Andrews, I'd love for you to recover so we can get you back into the action. Oh my. What's going on over here? Alright, I need Pegram to get back to the main line. "53 minutes, plenty of time to take the objective." We just dissolved Wade Hampton's unit that was attacking there. Keeping my supplies close by here because I want to make sure that I keep my guns firing the whole time. And they're actually in plenty of supplies still. Alright, we got plenty of firepower coming down on his center now. I'm actually going to send Pegram up this way to get in behind them. See, if I had my cav now, I'd probably send them back here to go try and take his supplies. I'm trying to keep an eye on these guys because I don't want them sneaking around on me. Whoa! Oh, Abercrombie was wounded. That's not one of my men anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. Andrews is still wavering. Okay. We're just going to pour everything we've got into this area now to drive him out. Hang tight right there. Oh, he's got artillery lighting Howe up at the moment. Right, let's target that artillery. How are we doing down here? Alright, he's all but broken from the objective. We're driving off that artillery. So now let's go back and target Pettigrew here. He probably will break through my line. Come on, Andrews, what are you doing? That's 2,700 men that are completely worthless to me at the moment. Randomly, Kimball just routed. There goes Howe. And Pegram just routed from being fired on by these two units. That's okay. We're going to take the objective now. A lot of my units are wavering at the moment, though. We probably advanced a little more than we should have. Alright, I'm going to move up the guns one last time. I'm going to sit tight right here. I want to take a look one more time at how my specific units are doing on the battlefield. So Kimball, oh, he's routing, so I can't even see his info right now. 715 kills for Loomis, 331 dead. Wagner, about 2-1. Andrews, I can't see at the moment. Woods has done 160 kills. Swallow's done 208. Pegram's not quite 2-1. Woods, about 3-1 casualties. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with that. Especially because I've been a little more aggressive in this battle. Alright, we secured the objective. Andrews is still running. Would it help if we run away more? You've run away about as much as you can. I'm going to pull Pegram back because he's taking some casualties from those guns. Okay. At this point, it's just about mopping up. And wondering if Andrews is ever going to recover. Apparently not. I'm going to send Robinson down here to support Carr. Send Woods up here. Look at that, I got 3 units that are just running around aimlessly in the back. It's 15 minutes. Surprised he hasn't tried a desperate melee charge at the last minute to try and take the objective back. But I'm going to send Pegram up here just in case. He might think about doing that. We're sending Woods up here to support it as well. I think Rhodes is going to dissolve here in a second. Oh, no, he managed to get out of there alive. Barely. Phil Kearney wounded. Sucks. Yeah, here comes the melee charge I was expecting. His last-ditch attempt to hold the objective. And Kearney just lost his commander, so there might be an issue there. Although it's only 500 men charging in. We've got thousands here. No chance he survives this. Yep. It's another unit surrendered. And that should do it. All right. 5,000 casualties, and a fair bit of those were the units that are not mine. Inflicted over 10,000 casualties. Again, 2,800 missing, 7,700 infantry. Specifically, let's look at the losses. Loomis is one of mine. He lost 735 men, so that was a pretty big casualty count. But otherwise, not too bad. Officers, Hiram Berry was wounded. Bunch of promotions. Phil Kearney was not one of mine anyway. We captured 1,500 Lawrence rifles. That's nice. We also rescued 8 10-pounder Parrots, which hopefully now I have access to, because that would be amazing if we have some 10-pounder Parrots available to us. And again, the morale starts creeping back up a little bit. We're still at minus 16. And even though they didn't participate in this battle, we did get our 1 star for our Cav. Spotting, stealth, and accuracy. Yeah, I want the charge damage for sure. Career points. I think I'm going to finally put one into medicine. I'm looking now. We've got 16,000 Springfield 1842s available. That's beautiful. We can arm multiple brigades with that. We've got 8,600 Lawrences available. And then in the armory, those are what's in the shop. This is backwards. I feel like the armory should be on the left, but that's okay. So that's what we have available to purchase. We have 4,000 Lorenzes in stock, though, so that's good. So next battle is going to be Secure River. So I'm just looking ahead to that before we think about what we're going to do with our army. We're going to be able to take the whole force in there, and we're already looking at pretty even odds. And obviously with scaling, anything I do to build my force up is going to build his force up. So we want to be cautious with that. And honestly, I'll just probably save a lot of this up to spend before we go into the big kind of chapter-ending battle here, which is Gaines's Mill, because that's going to be a tough one. That'll be a tough battle. He's got 43,000 men. Obviously, we could take a second corps in there, and right now we would be outnumbered 2-1 in that battle, which is not a helpful scenario. So we're going to have to be thinking about what we can do to build a whole bunch of new units to even the odds before we get into that one. So for now, I'm going to sit tight, and we'll be back again with another episode in a few days. Thanks for watching.